Let me get in.
Don't. G.
In.
Oh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
T.
Qiean, you absolutely, I think out of everyone that's been on the show, you nailed it. That was the best TNO I've had so far. So thank you very much. Thank you.
That was so much fun. I was busy dancing to the intro. That is just so groovy. Loved it.
So for those of you who don't know, Qiean is in Hong Kong right now. So she is 6 hours ahead of us. So thank you very much for accommodating the TNO gang this side of town. And in case you're wondering what this outfit is on my side, not because I'm trying to match what Qiean's wearing, even though she looks gorgeous in the floral-esque sort of top, I'm just going with the Tiger King vibes because I've had a shoulder up and this is the most comfortable thing. So I hope you're okay with that, Qiean.
It looks great. We just need to get you a wig, a blonde wig, and a cap. You look great.
Thank you. That's the next theme for the other show. Okay, awesome. Well, we're here today. We normally start off with a bit of a what's the word? An icebreaker. And the question I've asked previously, and I might as well ask you and keep it going. Would you rather glow in the dark or sparkle in the day?
I would love to sparkle on a day. Any day, sparkles.
And what's the reason for that? You just want to be in people's attention all the time?
Not necessarily that. It's just like I love glitter. So like anything that is bright, I'm drawn to it. I'm like a magpie, basically. So I love it.
Magpies are pretty intelligent. Have you seen them get water out of a plastic bottle before?
No, but I've actually, there's a few of them in Hong Kong. So when I go hiking, I see them and they're so playful. They are just such social birds. You just see them prancing around, doing their dance and little singings. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, geez, I've never seen the social gathering of them, which is quite interesting to the social point because I feel like this episode that we watched is that, you got chappies talking about the significance of a social game, and the episode starts with you sitting by yourself on the island. Seems like your social game struggled a little bit from that perspective. Not like the magpies.
No, definitely not. I think I had a bit of a rough start to the season from episode 1, where basically kind of like looking for a flint, got mistaken for looking for a immunity idol in front of every single person. And it definitely was a rough start. I think in terms of the starting game of Survivor, the first few days is so critical to finding your place within the tribe and, building your alliances. So that definitely, I would say I was not blessed maybe by the Survivor gods. And that was how my journey was supposed to begin on Survivor. And I had to embrace it, right? I did sign up for unpredictability.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, you did have a bit of a connection with Sean. And I'm not sure if we saw you connect with anyone else on the island the same way you did with him. Was that the big loss for you and how your game turned out?
I think definitely you would have seen that I cried when I eventually found Sean. I was just like, what is going on? And he said to me that, well, it's either you or me. And you also saw in the end that he actually stabbed me in the back. He wrote my name down. Yeah. But I honestly felt like, there was something there that we could definitely have could have built a strong alliance and, have something going on there. But then again, the Survivor gods came and gave us a tribe swap and, flip I go to Runa without Sean. And that's that, so it was a bit difficult for me to kind of try and navigate again into this whole new tribe and going from the bottom of Zamba to try and actually infiltrate and get in there within Runa 2.0. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like you were unfortunate in the sense that out of all the connections out there, you got stuck with the one that is arguably the strongest in Tyson and Kieran. Those two right now, from what we're seeing, are doing a lot of the moves. I mean, finding idols, catching crabs, doing all the things.
No, definitely. I mean, I think like I was looking for idols for sure. Like who goes on Survivor and not try to look for an idol, right?
Yeah.
So in spare times, without a clue, it's just so difficult to actually find an idol because you're looking. There's like so much. There's so much land. There's so many trees and branches, and I looked at every nooks and crannies anywhere I could find, and it was quite unfortunate that. If I had known that, the clue is basically the same on both camps, I think I would have had a better chance at finding one and saving myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we dive deeper into the game and how your game unraveled, I think one important thing we need to mention is that your birthday is on Friday. So we might as well just say a little shout out from TNO to you. Happy birthday. And I don't know if you want to tell us how old you are, if you want to keep that to yourself, because I know ladies like keeping that a secret. But even whatever the situation is, happy birthday. And I hope it's going to be a good one. I don't know, what are the plans for that so far?
Well, I mean, there isn't any point of hiding my age. I guess everyone knows my age from my survival, kind of like the
bio.
The bio. So I am turning 36. And, I'm glad I don't look at that age. So that's all good.
Not at all. Not at all. You don't look 36 at all.
But Hong Kong is pretty much quite safe here. There are really any kind of local cases in contrast to South Africa. And I'm actually going out with a few friends. We've booked a dinner at a lovely restaurant. There's about 8 of us. And we're just going to go celebrate, in a way, celebrate the end of my survivor journey. And start of a new chapter. So,
and are you having your friends watch Survivor with you at the moment? Your friends in Hong Kong?
Oh yes, they've been amazing. Okay. We have watch parties. My friends host, and we go there. We have lunch, and then we just do like a binge 2-hour watch every second week. So that's really great. And then also obviously my boyfriend has been watching with me as it's come along. So it's great.
And any tips or advice they've tried giving you while watching the show?
Not necessarily. They haven't given me. My boyfriend going into the show, he did say to me, just try to be as honest and truthful as you can. If you don't need to hurt somebody, don't do it. So kind of always thinking for yourself for the game, but also how the other person would feel if they were treated in a not so great way. So being considerate. So that's one of the things that he did give to me, and I took it because I know personally that I wouldn't want to be treated in a way where I feel like I'm being ostracized or not heard. So that was quite important for me going into the game. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point, because I see the firefighter. You pick up the rice, you drop the rice everywhere. You then be talking about the consideration. You pick up each grain of rice, so they can all eat that. So that's huge consideration. But then at the same time, you have your snacks and then you're eating it by yourself and you're not sharing that with anyone. And that comes off completely wrong for the other people. They go, no, she's completely selfish.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I must say, like at that point, I was so butchered emotionally. I just, looking at it, I felt so bad. I in real life, I would bake Santuni and water a whole tray of croissants. So unfortunately, it did come across that way. And in my mind, what was going through my head was there's immunity challenges coming up. And I need to make sure that I'm not going to be a liability to the tribe. I need to eat to make sure that I have energy. Because I know physically I'm not as strong as Marisha. There was no ways I can contend next to her. I don't know if you saw in episode 6 the water ball thing. I tried.
It was mental. It was mental.
I tried my best to hold her down. I think I did give up a good fight. It felt good. I had so much fun during that challenge. We got to kind of roughen up just a little bit.
Get all your frustrations out there. But to be fair, I do think Marisha would have taken out most of the men too. So, I mean, the fact that you had to take her on, it's a huge ask. So, I mean...
Definitely, I when I watched back, I felt so bad. Like, I didn't realize that that's what it made Wada and Santoni feel. Like, that I was being selfish. And it was difficult because I was doing most of the cooking back in Vuna. So I was the cook. Do you remember Tyson and Teresa speaking, and they mentioned me as the cook?
Yes, yeah.
The Whipsy in episode 5. And so it was when we watched that, I was just like, well, I really feel bad that that's how people saw me, because that's not who I am in real life. I'm a Cancerian. Naturally, I'm a provider. I'm a nurturer. So back in Vuna, I was cooking and, serving everyone food, making sure that people were eating. And my point for that is that we need to be strong. And in order to be strong for challenges, we need to be fed. Yeah. And so definitely, I'm very guilty. I'm really sorry, Wada and Santoni, for eating in front of you. I was generally thinking about, I need energy. I need to contribute to the tribe so that we can try and attempt to win these tribal immunity challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if we're going back to it, your last-ditch effort in terms of trying to get Wada on your side, and that lost, because we know you're going into tribal council. I mean, it's actually one of the votes throughout the season that we can all agree that they're going to be targeting you. There's no secret about it, and you do try and persuade Wada otherwise. But how much, going back to thinking about conserving your energy, Wada's saying, she doesn't know much about you, so it's hard to trust someone like you because she doesn't know you. But if you had given her that food, hypothetically speaking, do you think that might have been that little bridge that you could have brought her on side and slowly convinced her and shown a little bit more of this consideration, this part, the nicer part of you that you say you wanted to put out there?
I don't know if you saw that at the final tribal council. I was actually sent off for quite a bit of love. So Wada and Santoni actually had a bit of tear in their eyes when they saw me go. So we did manage to have some bonding time, kind of from going from kind of like day 1, day 2, day 3 of being new in the tribe, trying to get to know each other. And then there were moments where we did indeed bond, and Santoni's hair at tribal council was actually courtesy of me. I did her hair.
Okay, there we go. Santoni's hair done by Qiean, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know. if you want anything, she is in Hong Kong. You're going to have to fly out there, get a special hairdo done.
I need to do your hair. So definitely that, I think, potentially could have helped to actually kind of bridge by sharing a bit of my food. I wouldn't say that was the best play on my part. Again, like I was so butchered emotionally. Survivor does things to you where there are moments when you're just not thinking straight. And so that was quite unfortunate. And do I wish I had done it differently? Probably not, because I can't change things. That's gone. That's done.
I love that outlook. I love that. Okay, but let's talk about the things that we didn't see, right? We know these parts, the little parts that we did see of you, but there was a lot we didn't see of you. And I kept asking throughout the season, I was going, but why aren't we seeing a lot of Qiean? What is something you want to share with everyone that they didn't get to see you doing out there?
Oh gosh, I mean, like I don't think there was ever a dull moment on the island. I suppose the beach. People think, but there's nothing for you to do out there. But actually, there's always something to do. We are, sitting around talking to each other and building relationships that is not necessarily strategic for the game. Just being humans. And I was doing a lot of the cooking. And, when you only have one machete to cook, it just wasn't easy. That took a big chunk of my time, definitely. Obviously, trying to look for idols too. I guess those are the things, I guess, that is kind of like viewers would think that we would have been doing on the island. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fair enough. I wanted to ask, I've asked everyone this question, them saying, they've come in with a certain strategy in mind, and once they've been thrust onto the island, it just completely gets blown out of the water. And obviously the Wild Coast water, we've seen how strong those winds are, so it definitely gets blown out far. But did you manage to somewhat stay true to what you wanted to achieve while playing the game of Survivor?
Oh, definitely. For my gameplay going into the game was I'm going to go under the radar And, I'm not going to rustle any feathers. I'm not going to, Survivor 101, you never want to be somebody who is just too good at being physical, which I definitely was not.
You were bad. I think you're shooting yourself in the foot. You weren't bad. You were in the mix. I mean, taking on Marisha is a huge, 11 out of 10 effort. So from a physicality perspective, I mean, you were good. It actually would have been interesting to see you making the merge and seeing how that would have played out. But yeah, sorry, continue. Sorry, I just got too excited there.
I mean, I will say that I deliver when I needed to. So for me, it was kind of like, I'm going to go under the radar as much as possible because you don't want to create and cause any attention towards you that could potentially make you a threat. So, for example, the puzzles, I can do puzzles, but I'm not going to say, let me do it, because that could be a threat going into merge. When you're doing individual challenges, Dino is massive puzzle king. So like that put a massive kind of like big red dot on his back saying we can't have him because, come merge, he's going to be winning all the puzzle challenges. Can't have that. So it was always kind of like, I don't want to cause any scenes. Let me just be quiet, and then come to merge. That's the moment to shine, because I always believe that, you need moments of brilliance in order to win Survivor. And I was kind of like sitting there watching, observing, seeing what everyone else is doing. And, I think I was quite comfortable pre the second tribal swap. I managed to kind of like build my relationship back into the Vuna 2.0 and, kind of have a semi core alliance with Marisha, Nicole, Renee, Dino, and kind of having Anesu, Tyson, and Qiean there as well. I really did believe that, that we had a good thing going, that this could potentially take us to merge. We were winning every single challenge, and maybe I did get a little bit complacent and too comfortable. Yeah.
But did you feel ever that you were on the bottom of that alliance, like those core group of people that you're talking about? Because when we're looking at them sending Anela back to, like, they don't choose you. You get to that challenge and you say, please help me. Yeah. They completely look past that and they send Anela and they don't send you. So at that point, I mean, did you ever get the feeling that you were at the bottom?
To be fair, Anela do have a closer tie and bond with Renee, and then he also built the relationship with Amy and Sean and Chappies when they were in Zamba 2.0. So definitely my heart, I had a glimpse of hope. I was hoping, because when they were kind of discussing, I heard my name very being thrown out there. So I definitely did have that hope that they would potentially send me and want to save me, because I was loyal to them. I was loyal to them to the very last day. Even when I stayed trying to convince Wada why I should stay, I said to her, like, listen, there is Marisha, there is Nicole over there, and then there is Tyson, Qiean, Anesu, you, and me. That makes 7 of us. Yeah. So if we go into merge, we are 7 stronger than Anela, Sean, Amy, Chappies, and Renee. So we'll be 7 against 5 if Santoni goes home. So that was kind of what I was trying to actually kind of convey to her. And unfortunately, I think Wada and Santoni had a massive bonding moment in our last immunity challenge, where Wada was kind of helping Santoni along to swim across that river. You saw how much kind of that traumatized her, and I think that created a massive bond for them. And I guess one of the reasons why they decided to stick with Santoni instead of me, despite the fact that Santoni was actually on Wada's hit list and Anela.
Yeah. And what are you thinking when you see that? You're like, wow, geez, it's going well for me. And you're like, wait a minute, I love this. This didn't go so well for me. Why? Why did it not go so well? She was on the hit list, and it was obviously that bonding moment. Was that bonding moment the turning point for you?
Definitely. I mean, like, look, Survivor is such a fluid game. I went into the game saying, like, you know, one of the things that I said was, like, I was born to be like water, and in deep oceans I thrive. I fully believe that I did, despite the fact that I went home, I did fully conquer that with such a lovely send-off for my tribal council, where I was not blindsided, I was not hated. There were tears, and the parchment were written with my nickname Kiki, and I wrote down Santoni as Santoni Sunscane, Santoni Sunshine. So there was love. But because Survivor is such a fluid game that you just don't know what can happen, and we can never truly say, right, I'm going to have this, stick to my loyalty here, and this is going to from the start of the game, and it's going to go all the way to the end, because this is kind of pre-merge. Merge is looming, and we know that was just going to happen soon, very, very soon. And I guess for Wada, she was thinking of her game ahead, that despite the fact that Santoni is a double agent, she could backstab her anytime, but Wada deciding to save her now, a pre-merge, could actually mean that Santoni is going to owe her something, you know, going forward. So for me, I think that is actually quite a smart move on Wada's side. Yeah.
And I mean, going back to that tribal council conversation where she mentions nothing is done for free and there are debts to be paid. And that's an interesting one. You've painted that picture. I do want to mention 2 tribals back to back. She has a go at Anela.
Yes.
And this is it seems to be a running theme throughout the show so far. So, like, how much significance should we put in this little basket, this feud between Anela and Warda?
I think it's going to be really fascinating to watch. I mean, obviously, I don't know what happened after I left. So I'd like to see, because this game is so fluid, and Anela kept on saying, like, oh, no, Warda, I can have this alliance with all these other 12 people and I don't need you. That's when I actually got mad at him, because I felt like, how can you say that? Because this is Survivor that you're playing. You don't, yes, you sent to Immunity to the Island twice and you have massive advantages on your hand, but you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. You can't completely disregard someone and say, I never ever need you, because it might come back and bite him in the back. So like,
but was that so? I mean, she refers to the fact that it was down to the Chappie's poll vote where she wrote down his name, and that was arguably the starting points of the animosity. But the curiosity for me is, like, the things that we didn't see behind the scenes. Were they still playing nice? I mean, were they still hospitable, or was that always were they just oil and water, the 2 of them behind the scenes?
I think we do have to kind of be civil somewhat. You know, we're not going to start attacking each other. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, it's a game, right? It doesn't define who we are outside the game or who we are as a human being. And we got to think for ourselves at that moment. And that's why we behave the way we behave, because Survivor is the biggest social experiment. And it plays in your mind, and sometimes it makes you, because you've got to be so adaptable and fluid that, you know, the truth that you're speaking at specific moment is a reaction to things that happen at that moment, you know, things that triggers it. So at camp, I wouldn't say there was a huge animosity. We definitely were civil. We were still just chatting. There weren't any kind of like strong words thrown at each other, for sure. That didn't happen.
But you could feel the vibe when you walked in. You're like, oh, tense.
Definitely, there is tension. There is tension. But at the end of the day, we're adults. We get over things. So, Okay.
I mean, that's fair enough. Now, before we move on to the next section of the show, what was your best moment throughout the game of Survivor and your worst moment? But let's start with your worst moment, and then we lead up to your best moment.
I guess probably the worst moment was dropping the rice, because there was just so much going on in my head at that time. I knew that I was very 99% going home and trying to formulate a plan in my head, just thinking. So I'm quite an observer and thinker. So a lot of times I don't necessarily say a lot, but when I do say something, I say something. I mean, you saw me having a go at Smash. So I was doing a lot of thinking, and dropping that rice, I just thought to myself, oh my God, this is food that we need so that we have sustenance, so that we can go and win challenges. What did I just do? Not like how Qiean portrayed it, thinking that when I drop the rice, I'll be going home. I wasn't thinking. I was thinking for the tribe. I was just thinking, oh my God, we need to eat, and I can't. We have so little resources after Paul had raided the entire camp of the food that, we needed this. And I can't, how can I at this critical moment drop the rice? It's just like, I really did blame myself a lot, which is why I felt the need to pick up every single grain, because this is Survivor, there's no food.
Sure.
We're wasting food. You saw my rice balancing kind of like challenge for food. I don't know if you saw, when the pot dropped, everyone else had the rice pouring over onto the ground. No, not this Asian, I grabbed it and made it.
Let's keep it going. Also, fun fact though, I think is rice farming not one of the hardest sort of farming processes to get right in terms of seasonal changes and everything else? I've read that somewhere along the line, like rice farming in itself.
I'm not entirely sure because I'm not very agricultural, but from understanding, like with modern technologies, I mean, there are kind of like agricultural, like, I don't know, what do you call those trucks that actually go through and so it's not like back in the days, when men were hunting gatherers, they had to kind of like wrap every rice grain from the husk. But rice is quite it's a staple here in Asia. So I don't think I think it will be quite a sin to run out of rice in Asia.
So I mean, again, just in case anyone's wondering why, apart from the fact that the tribe needed sustenance and everything else, I mean, we can't be disappointing the Asian people there, Qiean. You made sure you picked them all up. Yeah, I mean, you represented well then from that perspective. Okay, what is your best moment? Your best moment?
I think what it was an incredible moment was the turning point for Zamba 1.0 when we won that second individual immunity. The second tribe immunity challenge. I think that was huge. I knew that day after the first tribal immunity that I was at the bottom of the tribe and I needed to step up and deliver. So normally, trying to go under the radar and not be too much of a something. I actually, when we were kind of discussing who's going to do what for the challenge, I actually did put my hand up and say, okay, I'll join Dino for the puzzle. And it was just so incredible. The adrenaline, when Nico said, Zamba thinks they have it. And they do. There was just joy, so much joy. I've got some crazy jumping skills. You see me jump a lot in the season. So
I'm just thinking about how well you did the Nico impression. I love that. Do it again. I mean, that was brilliant. Come on, that was brilliant.
Zamba thinks they have it. And they do.
There we go. Yes, man. I'm going to have to do that again. But we're going to have to do that towards the end and be like, TNO thinks they have it. And then we both go, and they do. I love that. Yeah. So you're saying the adrenaline was really great when you're stepping up and you were taking part in that challenge.
Yeah. So for me, a lot of it was you're not going to step up unless it's so necessary that you have to do it. So that was one of the moments, and I was hoping to actually do a lot more of that post merge when stepping up for myself instead of for the tribe. A lot of my game intended for pre-merge was just to make sure that the tribe is looked after, that we are winning as a tribe, but also trying to build relationships in between, and then going into merge would have been playing a lot for myself, and I was really, really hoping to have some key number ones and number twos, which unfortunately didn't go my way. Rocky start, and then needing to rebuild in Vuna 2.0, where I felt like I did have some sort of comfort in alliance, and then the whole swap again going into Zamba 3.0 and needing to rebuild the relationship, which I think happened too late for me. Just too far gone, and
at that point, I think you're just tired. Like you said, everything that you had to contend with, you're tired. You're like, oh boy, here we go again. And I think all those things just add up.
It was every single time there was a tri swap, I needed to claw my way back in, and I think I did an okay job. at doing that. After all, I was the 8th person.
8th, you are correct. You did well. That was 8th.
Yeah, so I didn't go home first. Sorry, Jason. I love that boy.
I dig him too. He's fantastic. He's got a lot of energy. So dig it.
He's amazing. There's just so much going on with his pigeons. So
Right. Okay. About those pigeons, time to see which pigeon's going to carry that golden spear. It's that time in the show where we decide who gets the golden spear for the episode that you got the boot. Qiean, start with your nominations and let's see what we get from there.
For me, I think it's definitely Wada, where she put aside her differences and her previous animosity towards Santoni.
Okay.
For her game going forward. I think definitely she was able to go from being enemies with Santoni to being somebody who Santoni can lean on. I think that definitely is a big wow, and kudos to her for being able to turn around like that and putting whatever that happened in the past, let bygones be bygones. So that was really, really great.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. And I mean, it's only going back to what you said, what was mentioned at Tribal as well, where she goes again, no debt is nothing is given for free. There's a debt to be paid. And I feel like to that extent, Wada knows what she's doing. She's keeping an enemy close. She's trying to see what she can do, what's coming next. And she has been getting a lot of airtime lately, which is quite interesting. It's like her development throughout the show so far has been fantastic. She's become quite a strong figure. And she's got 2 key members in her alliance with regards to Tyson and Kieran. Even though we know when we're looking at it externally, she is probably the bottom of those, out of those 3. But nonetheless, she's in the mix.
But I will say that she's had the most opportunity to truly play the game. Because for me, somebody who was sitting in a lot of the winning on the winning trial for so many of the challenges, I never got to go to Tribal Council a lot to truly play the game.
Yes.
She actually, despite the fact that it seemed like it wasn't in her favor, I feel like that was in her favor because she could, because of all the tribal councils that she's been going through, she's been able to build a really good survivor CV. And I hope that she does make a far and maybe to the final 3. If she does, that there is a really solid story for her to tell. For her going from up to the bottom, from being at the bottom to the top and down again, and kind of like changing her thinking to kind of bring in her enemy as her alliance. So I think she's one to kind of like watch. Or should never ever underestimate anyone in the game.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that because, like I said, you can see her growing, but you could see her gaining confidence through her journey, if that makes sense. Her experiences of going to Tribal, knowing how to manage what it feels like before Tribal. Like you said, it was one of your few times that you had gone, and that was novel to you, where for her, she'd be like, I've been down this river before. I've got my paddle. I know where my backpack is, and I'm going to go rowing down this river. So credit to her from that perspective. I want to throw Renee's name out there. What did you think about his move going to Chappies and saying, there's something here. I'll be his minion and eventually chop his head off. What did you think about that?
I think Renee has been excellent in this gameplay thus far. And he knows about kind of building. If you look at it, it kind of is like he's got a really nice web where he has relationships with every single person on both sides of the tribe, and it's very smart of him to. We said this, you always keep your enemy closer than your friends, right? So having a frenemy, are definitely very smart on him, and I think that him doing that, and then them also keeping Anela close with Anela's challenge, with Anela's kind of advantages. So there's another debt where kind of I feel like Anela owes him a lot by being sent to Immunity Island twice. So he's got a few advantages, which I think could be good, but also at the same time, because you're playing with different characters, you may think that you've gained trust of this person, but truly, is it the truth? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, but I think it's brilliant. I mean, like he has this kind of like evil, kind of like despicable me kind of vibe going on, where he's going to kind of chop down the enemy or the friend.
I mean, I love that you say that, because when you're looking at him, I mean, he kind of gives off that hero sort of vibe, but he's doing the villainous sort of moves, but he's a lovable minion in a way, based according to his words, calling himself a minion.
I mean, him and Amy have this kind of like underground mafia thing going on as well. So, that's why I say you can never underestimate people by what they look like on the surface. Because on the out, you look at Renee, he's a great guy. He's fantastic, easy to talk to, and good family man. So it is a game, and he is definitely playing that well. He is definitely playing that brilliantly by having all his strengths kind of all connected to him. Yeah, for sure.
I think another one I want to throw out there is the actual Vuna tribe as a whole for this Golden Spear, largely because when we're looking at the challenge and we look how well they do together, even when they're doing the puzzle, Renee is putting the puzzle together, but they're all telling him where to put the puzzle pieces, and they just look very in sync. And then if we look at the consequence of that, the reward that they get, again, is a huge moment in the game. It's this huge emotional boost before possibly making the merge. And then, of course, something bringing these people together. So from my perspective, when I'm looking at it, I'm going, as a tribe, I think they did really well to reap the benefits that follow afterwards from an individual perspective. I don't know what you think about that.
From my experience of being on Vuna tribe, that is definitely the case, because I felt like we were people as a collective who could work well together as a tribe. And that's how, pre the second swap, that we were able to win every single challenge. There wasn't really anyone who was trying to kind of be like, I don't feel like there was anyone that was trying to be like, let me take the credit for the win, and let me be the one who is going to win this challenge. They worked very well together, and I think that aided to the win of every single immunity challenge. So yes, I agree with you, but I can't give a Golden Spear to an entire tribe. There's got to be at least one person.
No, it's got to go to one. I agree with you. Do you have anyone else you want to nominate? Because I've got one more name, just out of curiosity. Is there anyone else you think is deserving? Because I mean, it's a hugely prestigious award. I mean, people are fighting for it out there. You don't realize it, but deep down, I mean, I don't know if you guys have spoken to each other or saying who wants the Golden Spear, but I've got to convince myself saying people are fighting for this thing.
Let's see. Goodness, another person to actually have the gold. Geez, why don't you go first? Let me have a think of you.
All right, no problem. I mean, firstly, this is more the Golden Speedo Award. Just Chappies comes out there flying with his butterfly moves again. I don't know how this man is swimming butterfly every sort of challenge. Okay, but that's a separate award. But I think Tyson here, this is his third tribal council in a row. Things have gone his way. He's caught the crabs, and not the crabs like he's mentioned in a bad way, but the good crabs that he's fed the tribe. He's in the key alliance, he's making moves, he's still got the hidden immunity idol. I think for me, he's well positioned moving forward in this game.
I think baby Tyson, seeing that he is the baby of the season, and I think he's done well, and especially the fact that he managed to snatch that second hidden immunity idol away from Santoni. Definitely well gameplay plan. I mean, you can see this whole season is about immunity, and whoever has that advantage to them will go far. And he managed to I mean, he found two. No one else has found a single idol, and he found two. And that definitely great game on his from his side, and him having that advantage with kind of like Wada and Qiean with him, yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right. But you're gonna make the decision now. I'm gonna count down 3, 2, 1, and then you're gonna animate, throw the spear, and then shout the name that you think is deserving of the Golden Spear. You ready for this?
Okay, but don't hate me if I'm biased.
Hey, this is on you, man. There's no hurt. This is all, whatever you think and whatever you feel. Okay, you ready? You ready for this?
Yes. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
What?
You gotta shout a name. You gotta give the name.
The name. What?
There we go, Wanda. Congratulations on winning your first Golden Spear on TNO. Jeepers. And so they say history always made on TNO, and that's just another given fact. Okay. Time for...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she did. Actually, and when you laid it out carefully, I think she is deserving, and I like where her story is going. So 100%. Well, congratulations, Wanda. Okay. Time for the wooden spoon. This is for the player who has made the most precarious move to their game, and obviously in some cases leads to elimination, Qiean, but in other cases, just leads to a bad sort of situation moving forward for them. So who do you want to throw out there first?
I think I might say Anila, because of the way he has been kind of having this feud with Wada. It could potentially harm him in the future, despite the fact that he has these advantages or the no vote, which no one supposedly knows about. But he could potentially, Wada could conjure up some plan to actually make him maybe flush out his idol, the first one, and then flush out his advantage.
His advantage,
his advantage where he can actually kind of like take away someone else's vote. And then having him being eliminated at the next round. So I think that wasn't a very smart move to be outright having a disagreement.
A blatant enemy.
Yeah, blatant enemy. Yeah. But also it could also do on the other side Wada harm as well, because he could gang up with his alliances and say, hey, she's been gunning for me so blatantly. We need her out because I don't want her around me, in this camp. So that could potentially happen as well, definitely. And if I have to have a second nomination for this episode, I don't know. Am I allowed to nominate myself or drop him?
Yeah. You're allowed to nominate yourself. Of course you are. You're allowed to say anything. Yeah. You can even give it to Nico if you weren't impressed with how he presented on the episode. I'm just saying.
No, I think we all love him. Him and his like, I don't know. Have you seen the way he smoldered his eyes? So.
Yeah, man. No, that's an art. He's got that down, and it's getting better every season. He's really taking it on.
He's owning those skills. He's definitely is. He's such a brilliant host of the game. I think like for me, it was too late for me in terms of like going in hard to build relationships. I wish I had been. I can't regret it, but I wish at that moment I had been a lot more open and not somebody who was kind of like more observant to see what's going on, then deciding to make the big move later on. So I would have to give myself the big wooden spoon spanking over there for maybe taking responsibility that my game ended prematurely. Yeah.
Yeah, shame, man. I feel for you from that perspective. It's just not getting stuck in. And, you're probably right in terms of observing. I think there's a huge part to that when playing the game. But there's that part where you've actually got to get your hands dirty. And in your case, you just spilt the rice, and that's how you got your hands dirty. And that did not do you any favors. Just from an external point of view, you just looked so isolated. Similar to Adino. funny enough. And that's why it was interesting that the two of you didn't try and do something together, because you both looked so isolated. Maybe that's just the case of when you feel that way, even if you can see someone else is on the outs, it's harder to connect with them because you just naturally feeling that way.
I think because Dino has this kind of like paranoia personality where he's just never ever sure, and he will always go where it kind of benefits. I mean, from what I'm seeing, not necessarily like what he actually did. From what I was seeing, that's like he will go where it benefits him, where he is kind of safer. So in the case of with the Zamba 3.0, he went with Qiean and Tyson. I think there was a moment where, like, you know, he had to choose, and he said that he would actually throw me under the bus, just to ensure that his game is secure. But somehow that actually ended up leading to him going home. From my perspective, like, Dino was always a frenemy. He was somebody I knew I couldn't trust, but I really wanted to keep him close and really prayed that we would actually make it to merge. And that actually I have. I wouldn't say, obviously, I didn't have, like Dino, I didn't have any number ones or number twos. So it was just my survivor kind of like luck was so scattered, you know. I had to crawl myself back every single time. So with him, I honestly felt like if we did manage to squeeze ourselves into merge, good things could have happened, you know. Dino definitely would have, he'd gone far. I mean, like, you know, he's so smart, despite the fact that, you know, he seems to be this guy who's a bit of a lost corp, but he's not. So like, you know, if I were to say, like, you know, who are my kind of like favorites, you know, of this game thus far, I absolutely loved Dino, I loved Carla, and I loved Mike as well.
Great. All the ones that are off the island are the ones you liked. Do we have anything else to look forward to, Qiean? Come on now. What's going on here?
I'm getting there. There.
All right. It's okay.
Qiean, for me, and this is going a bit of like going into kind of Storm's Brewing. I feel like there's a strong game for him. He is very good with analyzing his situations. And I think he's got a lot more potential than Tyson in the game. But Tyson has the advantages of having a hidden immunity idol in his hand, and which to Santoni's advantage. I just like, girl, I felt for her so much. I'm like, why did you tell him to go look for it, where to find it? Because we know in Survivor, whoever gets hold of that idol, it's theirs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you told him where to find it. It's if your hands are not on it, it's not yours.
Difficult, yeah. And I love the fact that you mentioned Santoni, because she was, you know, she's had a great run here on TNO. I think she's won 2 Golden Spears. Last week she won the Wooden Spoon, and I think she's up for nomination here again, because largely you speak to Dino's paranoia, but I think in this episode, Santoni's paranoia does get the best of her a little bit. And I'm not talking about the tears at challenge, because she was really traumatized, and you can see that. But I think the fact that she's got to keep going back to Tyson and Qiean, and she's flipping out when you're talking to Warda, and she's looking for constant reassurance, I think that eventually that becomes super annoying for the people you're playing the game with. And I don't think that bodes well in trying to mend or trying to establish trust.
No, okay. So like the few things about Survivor 101 is like you can't be too strong-headed, you can't be unpredictable, and then you also can't be insecure. So these are the things that people don't want as an alliance. Yeah. So definitely, like I would say, I agree with you that, you know, she's a contender for a Wooden Spoon over here in this episode, because when you are too clingy and too insecure, people don't want to take responsibility for that. You know, it's a liability. So I really do hope, like, you know, I think Santoni is a lovely, lovely, lovely lady. I mean, we had those bonding moments pre-tribal council, and, you know, I love her to bits, and water. And I just hope that she would be able to turn that around going into merge, because for her, I think her social game is critical, because we know that she's not a physically strong person. I don't know about her puzzle skills, because we haven't seen her getting involved with any of the puzzles from my memory. So I think it's really, really important for her to turn her social game around. And in a way, the Survivor guys were with her for this episode. That, that she was in the Vuna OG majority. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm going to count down, and then you're going to give that wooden spoon out. So you ready?
Okay.
Okay, but feel free to give any sound effect you want, because there's no set sound effect for the wooden spoon.
Okay, let's try something.
Okay. All right. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Go! I'm sorry, I love you, but Santini!
I love it. That's new. That's a new one, guys. We've got a new sound effect for TNO's wooden spoon. Congratulations, or what should I say, uncongratulations for Santini, but congratulations, Qiean. Thanks for bringing in the sound effects. I love that. Love that. Okay. Now you've touched on it. You've mentioned Qiean as a name, but it is time for Storms Brewing. We do know the merge is on the horizon here. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, this is super exciting in terms of how it's falling or how the pieces are falling with regards to the former alliances and tribes.
I think it all boils down to all the work that everyone has been doing pre-merge. And I think some got lucky. Some had forged stronger bonds than others. So like Anila definitely has his root in Zamba has kept him very, very safe up to this point. Obviously, him and Renee, they are brothers. They're very, very close. Hence why he's been saved twice. And obviously, he also built really great relationships with Chappies and Sean and Amy during his time as Zamba 2.0.
Yeah.
Or it could go either way because there is also the double agent Santini. We don't know where she's going to flip. And that's one of the things I was saying to Wada. What if now you're saving Santini, come merge, she flips on you. And then there's Anela on that side with his supposed 2 advantages that he got from winning immunity and challenges. But now we know he lost one and won the other. But obviously he told us he won both. So what's going to happen there for you? Because that means that Vuna Vuna OGs are going to start being put on the chopping block, and you are going to be picked off one by one. If that is the case, with Anela having such strong advantages. But then again, we don't know if Anela is going to share his advantages. He's got debt, but is he going to pay them? Yes or no?
No, I don't. He doesn't look like someone who's going to pay anything back, to be honest. It looks like he's taking the credit and he's running with it.
But you don't know. Remember, he stuffed down those Future Life protein bars for himself.
Yep. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. That feels like he's going to take the credit and he's just never going to pay it back. He's what banks financing's nightmare, sort of. They're just not going to get paid back the money. But it's something interesting that I want to look at is obviously Anessa's still got her advantage as well in the game. So and she's quite a social threat, and she's been playing in the last couple of episodes. She's been under the radar, but I think come merge, she's going to have a stronger influence. And then again, there's the Rened Chappies sort of. Beginning of this relationship, there's a reason why they've shown us that. How significant is that going to be in the game moving forward?
There's definitely a strong brotherhood thing going on. So especially the fact that Renee is smart, knowing that Chappies and Anela built a strong relationship coming in from, despite the fact that Anela's on the other side now, but he knows there's that strong bond. So having these 2 men with him is going to be an advantage. I think having cushioning, but I'm not sure about in terms of, after all, it's seeing how Chappies has been playing. He's the guy, he wants to win. Obviously, everyone wants to win this game, but how far along can he actually have his bros with him until eventually they say, hey, Renee is actually a physical threat in these immunity challenges. Can't have him around anymore because after all, it's it's a one-man game over here. Someone has to be a survivor. Can we, so who's going to flip on who first?
Yeah, but I think that's a valid point. We know now when it comes to merge, you're speaking about physical challenges. Renee obviously trying to mask his physical presence in relying with someone like Chappies. But let's look at the cost. Let's look who's left over. You've got Anela, who's physically strong. Yeah. You've got Marisha, who you've said is an absolute mountain in challenges.
She's a machine.
Yeah. So I don't. Yep.
And she's also like a really pleasant person to speak to as well. You know, I mean, I liked her. She's so enjoyable to talk to on the island. So I mean, that's also another threat, right? Because if you're social and you're physical, so Renee is also both. He's social and physical.
Yeah.
And from the last episode, we can see, even though despite the fact that he had help from the fellow Vuna tribe members, he's also very good at puzzles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I like how he did that, because it made it seem like he was listening to all the feedback from everyone else. So he wasn't building the puzzle by himself. But at the end of the day, he was the one who's still putting those pieces together and had to fit them. So yeah, that's a valid point. Is there anyone else you want to... I know we're at that point in the show where it's your final thoughts and your possible winner pick. But is there anyone else you think might have a decent run apart from winning the game?
Definitely Qiean, like I mentioned before, but I'm not entirely sure that if he could potentially take the win if a lot of the immunity challenges comes down to puzzles or physical. But he has a brilliant strategic game. There's always something brewing up in his head, you know.
Yeah.
He's very smart in that sense. And Nicole, I think, is somebody you shouldn't underestimate, because after all, look at her at the rice pot challenge. She did win it. So she does have that element of endurance that she's really good at. So if I really have to, then I will say my 3 would be, in no particular order, Renee, Nicole, and Qiean.
Amazing. And there you guys, you have it. Straight from the words of Qiean. I think those are strong 3 candidates. And yeah, final thoughts in terms of your overall Survivor experience before we go.
Final thought. Well, I think my Survivor diet wasn't over. They took me too early. And if I have the opportunity to play a game, I cannot guarantee that, you know, that I would actually play the same game. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Okay. I know normally I would ask the question, like, how would you change it differently? But based on the conversation that I had with Rick Devens last week, you're always playing Survivor, I suppose, and you don't want to divulge too much. Unless, of course, you do. It's up to you.
Bits of everything. I think that, you know, it's just... Survivor is a reality show, and, you know, we still do have to live our reality as well. So, I mean, Rick Devens, obviously, he is trying to not go too much into it, whereas Dino is like, you know, this is my life. I'm going to live it as I live it. And for me as well, I have to agree with Dino, is that I'm going to continue living my life as who I am. After all, I think that's one of the reasons why I got picked to go on to Survivor, is by being true to myself and being the human being that I am. And, you know, I hope that production's going to, hello, Ruru, bring me back on. We haven't seen me. You know, and that's one of the things that I've been getting so much love from people on Twitter and Instagram as well. Like, people are asking, like, where's Qiean? You know, we'd love to see her, but why are we not seeing her? And I guess my gameplay kind of contributed to me being not seen, because I was really trying to go fly so under the radar. So I think if I do have the opportunity, my strategy might be slightly different. Yeah. Or the same. I don't know. I'll just give people surprises. I have no idea. You're watching.
Thank you so much for that input there. And Qiean, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. It always adds so much spice when we get the castaways on, and you have added just extra spice. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it. And I wish you all the best for your birthday tomorrow, and send your regards to the boyfriend and all your friends. And I hope the rest of your Survivor journey is as enjoyable as it is for us here on TNO.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for having me. This was such a ride, and I had so much fun chatting to you. You know, woohoo!
Oh, I'm always here. You can message me on Instagram or whatever. If you keep wanting chatting about the game, I'm always here. Don't worry about that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, there's always just, you know, Survivor reality, real life reality. It's just, you know, you keep thinking about the game despite the fact that you've been out for so long. So,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, have a great day and enjoy Hong Kong. Tell us how the weather is later.
With love from Hong Kong. Bye, guys.
Cheers.